Joga chique, mais?
Tá. Tô entrando. Ok, parece pra você?
Não, ainda não.
Ah, deve ter um delayzinho, né?
Só vai em 2 minutos e 58 centavos.
Eu já tô ouvindo um chadinho.
Muito vídeos. Essa música é linda.
Hello? Is someone already there? Just wait a few more minutes. Hello? Hello? Good evening. Who is there? I can't see the names. Say hello. Just send a comment. Say hello. I'm here. Can you hear me? The image is good.
Deixa eu ver. Não consigo entrar no chat. I can't get into this site.
You need to log in.
Yeah, I had to log in. Yeah.
Olivia, hello. Hello, Olivia. Sarah, hello, great. Thank you so much. Hi, Sarah, how you going? Hello. Awesome. Just wait more 3 little minutes. Hello, hello. We live at the same time on Instagram for a little bit. For people that miss the link in the YouTube. And here in the YouTube, we can comment, we can talk a bit more. Christina, you with me in the Instagram, but you have to be in the link on YouTube. You know that one? So you click in the link in the bio to go in the YouTube because I don't know for how long I can keep both together. Hello, everybody's joining in the Instagram. The live tonight is in YouTube, so you have the link in the bio. I don't know for how long I can keep both of them. In the YouTube, I can see the comments. I can talk to you all. So if you want to join with the link in the YouTube, just wait more few minutes. Oh, Luciana. Oh, hello. It's very early for you there in Brazil. Very, very early. Oi, Milena. Hello. Hello.
Sound okay? A bit louder?
I think that's fine for now. Yeah. We have someone here tonight too. Christine, my friend, is here. When everybody's ready, I introduce her. She's gonna help us with the comments. Hello. So we're gonna do the YouTube live. I'm seeing everybody joining the Instagram. Might turn it off the Instagram and then keep the YouTube live. Okay, so you jump in the link in the bio to the YouTube live. Yeah. Yeah, Christine is my super help here. She is a certified, recognized English. How can I present you, Chris? So she will help here.
Ayurveda enthusiast.
Can you guys hear Christine too? She's in the background here. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, Christine is there. Okay. Here you're awesome. Awesome. So we just wait more 2 minutes for everybody to start. You can get that minute if you need a cup of tea, bathroom, take your notes, little notebook if you want, get comfortable, pillow in the floor. So just 1 more minute for that, first to get ready, and then we chat for 30 minutes, 40 minutes, and then we leave for questions, okay? I think everybody's ready. Everybody's there, okay? So we can start. We're gonna start honoring the Banjalan Nation. That's the Aboriginal people, the first owners of this land that we live here in Australia, where I live now. I have few friends from Brazil. And as well to ask the blessing from all the ancestrals of all of us, mine and all of us. So our great-grandmothers, our grandmothers, our mothers, all the women that have the experience and the knowledge and hopefully are here as well, blessing us to have this communication be more clear and touching our heart. So I'd like to save that space and that time to honor these people and ask the blessings. So we all ready? You realize, I don't know if there is English speaker here. You realize I'm Brazilian, if you don't know me. So if the accent, anything you can understand, please just comment to ask me for help. And Christine is here to help us. Please let me know if something is not clear. And as well, I would like to know, we start a little bit knowing each other, know where we're up to, and sit a bit with your body and understand what's your purpose here. So what's the motivation? What brought you to hear something like this? What's attracting you? So from my experience could be 3 things that you can think about where you are. One is pain. One is suffering, pain. So you're here because something is not right in your health, something's bothering you, there's some symptoms. Other one reason could be you see opportunity. So you're here, you have been hearing, and you know that there is opportunity for learning in understanding your body and menstrual cycle. So you're here for opportunity of improvement. And the third one is vision. you actually believe that this knowledge can change our health and consequently change the society. So with this, with sharing this knowledge, we can take that to our daughters, to our community, and one by one, changing the society. So just sit with you and think where you are to and what is bringing you here. And if you want to share in the comments that, and as well your age, just to understand which stage we are. Then we start to form this circle to understand which stage of life and the cycles of the phase each one are. So I give you some time for that. Okay. Christine is sharing there. Anybody else want to share? Not? It's okay. Yeah. Okay. That's just to understand and just to sit with you what's your goals and your proposed, what's your idea. And now sharing a little bit about me. So most of you know a bit about me. So I'm Brazilian. I live in Australia for the last 10 years. I am a mom. I am married. I have 2 little girls, so 8 and 6 years old. There's one more sharing there. Thank you. Yeah. And then I live now in a rural property, a little small rural property in Australia. So it's a very calm environment that I live right now. But my background, before I reached Australia, I was always in marketing, communications, in very stressful environment. And the city I'm from is one of the most populated city, São Paulo. And what brought me to Australia was problems with my health. So I worked for big part of my life, 10 years, 12 years with these big corporations. And I got very sick. I got all the problems with anxiety, insomnia, panic attacks, and as well during my whole fertile life until I arrived here and I changed, I had immense great migraines. So every cycle, every month, I ended up in the hospital with migraines and vomiting and a few other symptoms. So acne as well. And then I decided to go in the pill for long years. And all these troubles make me look for solution, change, and ended up changing the whole life. So I dropped my job, my city, family, and started to travel. And I started to look for something else. So I ended up here in Australia. A lot of things happened, but then I found Ayurveda, I studied Ayurveda, then changed my whole career. And during that path, I got my 2 daughters. And what got me in this path of women's health was actually the second birth of my daughter, because my first daughter was, I didn't prepare myself enough. And I think ended up being a cesarean. I thought everything was so easy, so natural, so I believe on that. And probably I wasn't that prepared. And for my second birth, I really want a natural vaginal birth. So I did everything was in my range to make this possible. And one of the things was to really get into the women's health, the power of the force that women have to deliver a baby naturally. And with all the workshops I done, I started that path. And then along the way, I started to have a lot of contact with patients and people around me with endometriosis. So I realized everyone around had issues with endometriosis, was more and more common, and there was no more solution or explanation in the modern medicine. So that's why I was already a Ayurvedic therapist, I was already working, and then I decided to do a specialization in women's health. because I want to understand and look for solutions for that. So that's all my story that kind of drive me to here where I am, where I'm sharing. And my motivation to share the menstrual health and the importance of understanding your cycles is because what I saw in my past, my background work, that was so patriarchal, so male dominant, that we have to be all the time performing the same way in a very stressful environment, really fighting with the same tools that a man have. I realized that even changing everything, even coming to the rural area, now I want to work in the internet, I need to do that too. And it's the same patterns keep repeating. They ask the same of us, to be productive, to be good, to be in a good energy all the time, always in a fine line. And we know the body of a woman doesn't work like that. So I'm here to start to share this knowledge that I learned with Ayurveda and then helped my health. And with that, I believe that we can, changing each one's with the perspective we have in menstrual health, we can change the communication of this to our daughters, and then slowly the society will change with us. We will prepare for us to work in cycle, not like it is now that we have to adapt to what is offered to us. So that's where I am at. So here, let I see a little bit of the comments here. Okay, Milena. Okay. Improving. Okay. Anna, 39. Okay, awesome. Okay, so that's my experience. That's what I want to share. That's where I am. And we're here I did a summary how to teach all that in 2 classes, in 2 days, in 2 nights, to teach a bit of that. So we have 8 big points that I'm going to share with you. Today, we're probably going to go in 4 points, and then tomorrow we have more 4 points. Today is a little bit more conceptual, and tomorrow very much more practical. And I just want to share as well that we have few surprises for the night. So tonight I will be choosing, Christine actually will be choosing someone that comments here, looking by the names. You're just going to choose someone to get a gift. So it's a facial mask. You can choose for your skin. It's a facial mask of the range that I have. And tomorrow we're going to have more prizes. And as well, if you share this on social media or send me a testimonial about what you feel, what you learn, there is more prizes that I will draw. Okay, so just to keep exciting, just to keep everybody awake here with me, we have that surprises for the end, and we go for the questions in the end. Okay, so the first main point, I know I share a presentation with you. I don't know how to share a presentation here yet, but the first main point is assume the fact, face the fact that the woman body has phases. We work in cycle. Unless you under hormonal contraceptive or external hormonal treatment, your body biologically is different every week. It is impossible to cancel, to just avoid, to just deny that phase. Our body is under the effect of that phases, and we are changing every week because of that. So the first main point is accept the woman body has phases. And here, I want to share how Ayurveda sees these phases. So in the presentations I sent to you, there was something a little bit like this. If you want to receive the presentation, if you didn't got it, you just send an email to hello@groundedayurveda.com with your email, and I send the presentation. Okay, so here I sent something that was a little bit like that, and here is our menstrual cycle, and we're going to talk about each one of these archetypal goddess. That's one way that I found to present the doshas of Ayurveda. So here, for example, when we start the bleeding days, our menstrual days, and a little bit of the first day before menstruation even, we're talking about a vata phase. What that means. Ayurveda is a science, is a medicine that observing the nature and how the human works, understand that all the elements of the nature, the 5 great elements, act in our body as well as acting foods and plants. So the action in our body has functions. So when we find the junction of the energy of the air and ether gives us a dosha that calls vata dosha. That dosha is responsible for all the movements in our body. Nervous system, breathing, blinking, talking, circulatory movements, the delivery of a baby, the menstruation, the shedding of the endometrium, their elimination as well. So it's all governed by this energy that calls Vata dosha. And this energy as well is stronger, is dominant when you bleeding in your menstrual days. So doesn't matter which dosha you have more in your constitution or which dosha you have out of the balance. During the menstrual days and the menstruation, Vata dosha will be stronger, will dominate that phase. So what that means for us in practical terms, that we have the potencies and the weakness of that dosha. Here is an illustration that I done to show this more in a visual way, in an archetype way. So that would be a little bit of the elements of the Vata dosha. You can see that she is very like subtle, light. She has this sensitive energy. So everything is about this connection with intuition, connection to everything that's subtle in the nature. That's her potency. And that's the potency that this dosha brings to menstruation. But we haven't been present to that part. We always been present to the weakness of the phase of the menstruation. So we do feel a little bit more low in energy. We have less fire in the body. We have less analytical capacities. So our metabolic capacities are a bit weaker. Okay, that's true. But it's true as well that we have a potency to really experience and manifest what this energy brings to us. If we know that, if we've been presented to that. So that's here that we want to start to change this paradigm of menstruation, menstrual cycle, and women's health. Because when we talk about menstruation, we have first to talk about the potency, what could be. And then after, understand why we're suffering so much with the imbalances. Probably because we haven't been presented to its potency. Because the weakness, because the fact that it's hard for us to concentrate, we feel a little bit more pain, a little bit more sore, is exactly to draw us to stop the tasks to outside and let us to connect within. And let us feel that energy that draws us so inside to receive the messages or answers that we have within us. It's nothing out there, nothing that needs to be spiritual and mystical. If it's that's not your preference, that's not what you believe. It's about your nature, what your own body is telling you that needs to change in your life or should be happening the next cycle in your life or in your surroundings. Here, for example, there is a lot of myths and stories that we don't have proven scientific proof, but we don't have scientific proof of that. But there is a lot of histories that in old tribes, these women, when they menstruate, they would get together because they know that by being together, they would connect to the subtle energy. And then the men and the rest of the tribe would wait until these women come out to tell them what they envision, what they see, and how the tribe should move, where the food would be in the next winter, where would be the dangers of the nature, if a flood would be coming, and all that feelings of the nature, just sensations. That's stories that we cannot prove scientifically, but we can say that there is a relationship with that clock that's inside us in nature, very clear. The waters moving and the moon moving. There is that explanation. So that's why that's the time that we need to balance the opposites of the Vata dosha, to keep our body rest, to keep our body warm, to look after our digestion, our immunity, because the body has less hormones to do all that for us. There is a lot more of, we could put here the Western terms, really what the hormones do, they lower in this phase. But here, I'm just going to explain the concept of Ayurveda, because I think that's enough to open up a different light into this subject and just let you with that. And then after we get out of this Vata phase, that's the subtle phase, we get into the Kapha phase. That's growing to our ovulation days. So pretty much 3 phases: menstruation, pre-ovulation and ovulation, then post-ovulation, pre-menstruation. But here we are out of the Vata phase and we come in the Kapha phase. That is, in the archetype terms, that's just an illustration. Don't get attached to the image. That's just a way to represent. That's a little bit would be like that. Can you see that this goddess, this archetype, is already a more strong, more robust woman, more full of vitality. Mais para cima, like that. Yeah, more full of vitality. She's more juicy. There is more nourish here, because the Vata phase, she's a bit. There is many ways to explain that, but the phase before, she would be the old woman, the wise woman. Here, she's the younger that's growing to its mature, to the fertile stage. She is the full moon. She is all the juices and the liquids and the lymphatic system and all the nourishing growing in our body. That's the phase of the estrogen that's growing in our body. And then slowly brings us all the lubrication, the juiciness in the face, the libido gets high. So that's that little girl that's growing. So she comes out of this wise phase that would be the death and the rebirth. And she want to explore the world. So she received a lot of things. She analyzed her life. She analyzed what she want to change. And then she want to explore the world. She want to communicate. She want to play with the world. So here would be a good time to do social events, to make meetings, to do social interactions, to present your plans, to present yourself in the work. That's exactly what I'm doing now. I am in that phase for me. So it's easier. My communication gets easy. It's a good time for me to get out in the world with all my dreams and my goals and my vision, what I saw in that phase. So this is a good time to do that, because we have vitality, because of all these liquids are increasing our body. So we have more energy, we have more stamina, we have more clarity. But as well, at the same time, we need to flow. We need to play. So there is a need for nourishment. Like I need the kids, young woman need the nourishment, but cannot be that heavy. Needs to be a good nutrition, but not as heavy because of the next phase. But she's gonna grow like a child, really exploring the world. So here's when you have this knowledge, you change your habits, you adapt your nutrition, you adapt your appointments, your routine, what you're going to do, what you cannot do, what you prefer to do. Of course, the world's not ideal. Not everything is as we want, but you do your best. You know that in that stage, you can put yourself out to talk, to present, to go. You feel more confident. You have more energy to exercise. So you can plan all that, considering that. And at the same time, you know that the other phase, if you're not feeling as energetic, you're not feeling as very irrational capacities, not very sharp, you don't judge yourself. You don't destroy your self-esteem comparing yourself with other women that might be in different phases. So that's the time that when you understand that you're feeling like that now, but will go back. Is like that. It's a cycle. Your energy will go back. Your vitality to do things in the world will come back. You stop the comparison. You stop the judgment. You stop to feel like, oh, I have all these ideas, but I never get done. And you give up over and over again because you don't have that clear. You have the ideas in a phase that you have inspiration, but when you get to another phase, you don't feel as energetic. So then you beat yourself and you cancel your plans because you think you're not able. But when you understand that, you put the ideas there and you know when you're going to have that quality of energy that you need for each task. So that's one way that you stop to compare yourself with the others, what the other is achieving in that day, in that week, because you know we are in different phases. So that's the most important. That's what we want to take to the society, to bring that concept in our life and to the others as well, to not expect the same of the others all the time, delivering the same quality is impossible. Here, and then we go to the third phase. Is that good? To the third phase, that after you ovulate, if you ovulate, because when we go a bit deeper in these studies, that's something else that I will invite you and will tell you when it's open. There is a immersion, a deeper immersion that you can do after that. You learn how to read your body to know if you really ovulated and when. There is an easy way to discover that, because ovulation is disturbed by many aspects in your body: stress, emotional, physical, nutritional stress. And that's the main reason why we have hormonal imbalances and delayed periods, because of ovulation is disturbed. And then here, if you ovulate, you go to the last phase. That is our Pitta phase. That's our big warrior phase. That I have an illustration that presents her a little bit like that. So you can see here her force, her sharp look, and the sharp actions, and the passion, and the determination. That's what she brings to us. So as soon as you ovulate, the hormones in your body change, and the hormone that comes now is a thermogenic hormone that even really increase your body temperature by 3-4 degrees. There is a way to measure that. And that rise in temperature is the Pitta energy acting in your body. So that's something that we can measure is happening. So you have more blood flow in your body. That energy comes to finish up all the work of all the other doshas. So that energy comes to make everything perfect, make everything sharp, really adjust. That's the energy of a Pitta. Is a warrior, is a doer, is a practical. What that brings for us, the practical life. After ovulation is the time to act with more analytical way, with a way that we really can use numbers, use strategies, use a bit of more of a force, a bit of more of action. So some situation is a bit stressful and you need to solve. Some tasks that you have been procrastinating for a long time, this is the phase that you probably would have some help to get done. And as well, that warrior, when she's in balance, when you know that she's there, her work is to clear the space and to prepare the retreat for the Vata warrior. The first one, that's the menstruation coming again. So this goddess that's so subtle, she needs some protection. She needs the area has been cleared up for her. So all the things that you have to solve in your life, things that are not working for you, that create suffering and pain in your last menstruation, even emotional. That warrior, when she's in balance, she's the one that says, no, I have to solve this. I have to cancel these appointments. I have to reorganize my life. I have to reorganize here my diet because I'm going to get menstruated soon. I don't want to suffer with migraines, pain, cramps. She is the one that's able to organize, to be practical, to really get things in control, because she knows that very soon you're not going to have that capacity, that energy to do that for you. When you start the menstruation, when you're very weak, when you're having pain, you're not going to be able to change your diet. You're not going to be able to reach for help. You're not going to be able to cancel and review appointments because it's all there. You just feel overwhelmed. This work has to be done before by that profile, by that warrior. When she's balanced, she's doing that for you. That's that heat that you feel in the PMS, the premenstrual week. That it's actually the premenstrual strain that I like to call. As she feels a bit heated and a bit overdoing, because she knows that urge to solve problems, to solve what is really not working for you, and to prepare the space for you to rest. But when we don't know that irritation, that irritability, that cravings of food, we start to overheat the wallet, and then we are inflamed. Then we are with pain. Then we are explosive. Then we come to the menstruation with pain and overtired because we have been fighting with everyone, even ourselves. Then we arrive in the menstruation or the perimenopause or the menopause. Because all this I'm talking here, if you have been done over and over again, is exactly how we're going to feel in the menopause, in the perimenopause. Perimenopause, here we're talking to most of us here by the looks of it. Perimenopause starts 10 years before your menopause set. We start to feel the symptoms. So, for example, myself, my mom, menopause, the last period was 47. So for me, perimenopause would start at 37, changing my level of hormones. I'm 40, so I am in that stage. So everything I do every cycle will define how my perimenopause or menopause will be as well. And it's the same. The same explanation fits in all the phases. So here, the warrior, what we most know about her, instead of to be the premenstrual strain week, we see as a premenstrual tension. Because we don't know her. We don't know how to work with her. We don't know how to cool her down and to really understand her actions instead of reactions. And then we see most of us very inflamed and suffer from PMS or excess of hormones or depleted hormones. So the first thing we learned here, that was just number one. There is no way to deny that this cycle exists, and we are all under influences of that, not the ones taking hormonal contraceptives. I know there is many reasons for that. Each one is different, but if you are, you wouldn't feel this cycle that way. You would be just fine the same line. Né? But if you're not, you feel less or most the symptoms, depend of your health, but all of us can enjoy from these potencies and weekends. Number two, track your cycle. So there is no way for you to enjoy all these potencies if you don't know where you are. So if you don't track your cycle on a daily basis and you don't use that information for yourself to take decisions, it's like if someone had dropped you in an airplane in a country and you don't have any senses working. You don't have the sensation of the temperature, you don't know the country, you don't know seasons in that country. And then they drop you, you don't know if you're going to put a snow coat or a summer bikini because you have no sensations and you don't know where you are. It's the same. If you're not following or tracking your cycle in a very practical way, because I know a lot of patients, they come and say, yeah, I take notes in a diary that is never available, is never there. And then you ask when it was, and then they go to check. That's not the way. I always share my example. That's very old style, but I have a massive calendar. That's actually a planting with the moon calendar, but I have this in my kitchen wall, and that I take note of my cycle. And being in the kitchen wall, where I most pass my time, I know all the time when I am in the premenstrual, when I'm in the ovulation days, and I realize my cravings, I realize my actions, and I adapt. So it has to be something practical, something that you use in a daily basis. People in the Instagram, probably my battery gonna go soon. So if you wanna keep with us, just join the link in the bio and come to the YouTube. My battery might run out here. Chris, if you can, there is a charger in my room there. Let's try. So find a way, a practical way that you can track your cycle. And to track, you always is a learning process. Some women here would be very used with that. So there's a question here. I will see after. Okay, I talk about that. Some women would be very used to that, to tracking the cycles. This is part of their routine. And some women's pretty new. I know the apps are very common now, but the apps, okay, they're cool to follow. Just be careful with the fertility, because if you're using an app to track your fertility and ovulation, is not, if you're not measuring your temperature every day, that
Is it charging?
yeah, I'm good. Sorry, guys. If you're not tracking temperature every day, the fertility window is not precise. So the way I teach this in the course, in the immersion that I'm going to present to you later on, but there is a way that you can know exactly the day you are ovulating. But of course, there is other signs. So you know the mucus, you know libido, you know there is many other signs that we can learn as well to know when you pass to the other phase. But that's the importance of tracking your cycles. Looks simple, but has to be used, has to be a tool in a daily basis, really changing your routine, your exercises, and your appointments, and your food and nutrition based on your cycle to really work for you. And it's a learning process. You do that for a few cycles until you really get the hang of it. The third one, let us see for me to not lose myself here. The third point is discover your inner goddess. So here I present all these archetypes. That's the way that Ayurveda explains the doshas. We all under that influence, but the way that the dosha is going to manifest on your body, you have to discover with us. It's not just, oh, Vata is like that, has that characteristic, so I follow this diet. Pitta is like this, not just that. First step, is you understand the cycles, you understand the potencies, but then after you're tracking, every month you have to understand how is your Vata, how is your bleeding days, how do you feel, what you think is your potencies and your weakness in that phase. So you start to track that. Put it there. No, I feel okay to talk. I feel okay to present myself during menstruation or not. My energy levels are very low. Instead of just doing mechanic, what you always do, think about if I could choose what my body would feel ready and prepared to do in this phase. That's how when you start to know you. If you could choose, I know some of us, because of work, family, kids, we can choose. We can choose cancel appointments. We can choose being in the room just reading. We can. But check how your body's feeling. If you could choose, if it's a weekend, what would you be able to do comfortably? And understand your potencies. And take notes. How is your Vata goddess? What's the potencies of your Kapha goddess? How do you feel during pre-ovulation, ovulation? What do you think you do very well? Observe your tasks. When you're delivering work in that time, check how I'm going. So I'm in this phase. Oh, see, really flow for me a presentation in this day. Why would be? Check my face. Then you start to have this learning about yourself. And then PMS, you track your cravings and you start to observe why. How was your cycle? What has been happening to that? And that's when you start to develop this learning about your body. What's your potencies? So that's our third learning. Our fourth learning, I need a little bit of tea here. I invite everybody to have a tea with me, so remember to have the tea. 7:40. Okay. Fourth learning is all the goddess, they would work in a cascade, in the effect cascade. So the way that you treat the first phase, the menstruation, the Vata goddess, will influences in your ovulation, how you feel. Because if you haven't rest, if you haven't recharged, if you haven't give that time to your body to restore during menstruation, that can, through the years and many months doing that, running in the very overdrive, that can impact your ovulation phase. and then suddenly your hormones are low, or your ovulation is not happening, is not as regular, you start to have irregular cycles because your adrenals and many other areas of your body has been overrun. And then you influences in the other phases. And then the same way, if you haven't rested in that period, if you haven't given the flowing energy and the playful and the communication, haven't put your dreams, your gifts out there in the world during the ovulation time, your warrior, your pitta, your premenstrual strength week might be hard because she arrived there already inflamed, already as well in the overdrive. So understand that there is no way for us to treat when we are in the phase, when we are menstruating, when with pain or with the problems, or when we are seeing irregular cycles. We have to do this in a base, and we have to do this as a habit because that is not fixed in the last moment. So the way that we're feeling in the menstruation or in the menopause or in the perimenopause is how we have been doing all the phases through the month. And then if we want to change the result, we have to change the habit. We have to change the cycle. We have to need to change the actions because one depends on each other, how they're going to react. That's our 4 items that I have prepared for today. That's a little bit more conceptual. Tomorrow we have a very more practical that we talk about more nutrition and food and elimination. But this I think is enough for today. And then now I would like to open for questions. And then after we do the prize, okay? So we're gonna try to read here the questions we have. Let's see if I'm not missing any. Okay, there is a lot of perimenopause issues here, most of around 40s. Okay. Can you talk a bit more about the potency of the first dosha, menstruation? So we go back to the Vata dosha. Yeah, a bit more clear. The potency of that phase is because that dosha makes our body so subtle. You realize that our body temperature drops, our capacity to rationalize and metabolic capacity, they drop because all the hormones are low in the body. So that phase gives us the capacity to be very subtle, even a bit ungrounded. We're not as grounded in the floor. We are a little bit more with the air and ether elements. And that gives us the capacity to do inner search. So it's inner reflection. The difficulty to go out and to act in the world. That was my dog. The difficulty to go in the world and this a little bit more fuzzy thinking is exactly when we connect to our inner self. That's the potency of this phase. She helps us to really process, and she will bring emotions and feelings that are way back in our mind. You see that during menstruation, some women are very emotive, very can be crying, can be more sensitive. That's because it's bringing emotions that we put it out, we put it away to not solve because we're too busy. So this phase will bring everything for you to have a look. So have a look in this, have a look in that. Might be a little bit painful, might be a little bit confronting, because when you are in this phase, you think never gonna end. You think you are that, but when you know that this is the phase to look, to face these things, and you have more facility to take notes of your dreams. In that phase, when you're bleeding, you have very vivid dreams. So all the answers of questions that conflicts that you have to solve in your life, you can ask in that phase, in the dreams, and take note. Observe what's coming, because the rational thoughts, going to be confused, but the subtle, the emotional, these intuition thoughts will just show up randomly. And if you take notes, you might understand them in the next phase. So that's the potency of the Vata phase.
Pachi at Instagram is asking, can I work out during my period?
Can I work out during my periods? Depends. That's when I invite everyone to understand your own body, because I cannot say here no for everybody. I know some women that feel energetic when they bleed. Let's observe your body. If you're feeling that you did work out and your immunity is weaker when you finish period, you get that kind of a flu feeling, a feverish feeling just after the period or even during the period, or your immunity is down, you start to get a cold, you observe that might be too much for you. So that's when I invite you to know what's the limit. Ayurveda, traditional Ayurveda books, Ayurveda text 5,000 years ago and review over and over again, they would say no. During bleeding days, we just do gentle walks in nature, maybe yoga, that's just that stretch. Never do upside down positions, this is clear. Never do inversions, because that can disturb the flow of the vata. So any exercise that's overdoing or would change too much the flow, the downward flow, is not recommended by Ayurvedic practitioner. But in general, if it's part of your routine to do a bit of exercise and you want to keep and you feel good, your health is good, and you feel good after, okay, but analyze your limits. But Ayurveda would say gentle exercise, very gentle exercise, never inversions. Let me know if there is. Thank you, Chris. Okay. Can you talk about a bit more? Okay. What should we track to understand our cycle better? Phyllis temperature? Yes, okay. Awesome. So yeah, definitely. So here I want to share, this is a prize for tomorrow or for people that share on social media, might be a draw as well. This is our Ayurvedic planner that 2 girls from Gold Coast, 2 Ayurvedic therapists, they have this product, so called My Ayurvedic Diary. So this is mine, but I will give one for you guys tomorrow. But that's one way that you could track your cycle. So track feelings, emotions, temperature. That's something else. That's interesting when you're doing a natural conception. So if you don't want to use pills or hormones and you want to get more deep in the natural conception method, there is a method that you take as well. The temperature, the basal temperature, has to be a thermometer with like 36.25, with 2 decimeters after the point. And then you take every morning and you're going to see a rise in your temperature when you ovulated. So that's something else you can put together, because then you know exactly when the ovulation happened. And then you can take note as well of the cervical mucus. So that's something I teach much more in depth in the course. But you know, when you dry, you just after menstruation, you dry and then you start to get wet, your mucus start to be elastic. Just one day before your ovulation is the peak of the estrogen, and the mucus is kind of an egg white. If you get a little bit, you do like that, it stretches. That means you got in the peak for ovulation, but that do not mean you ovulated. It means your body prepared everything, you reach the peak, you were able to ovulate it. But there is some other engines for your body to effectively ovulate it. So that's something you can take note as well. And then the days of your bleeding, of course. So you take the note of the days of your bleeding, when it starts, when it finishes, that's the basic. Then when you feel the libido high, when you feel the mucus in that way, and then all the emotions together with that. Okay. Food as well. So this is something hard to explain in a course like this, but in the immersion, the proper course, the 1-to-1 immersion, I explain all the diets for different constitutions and for different problems of menstruation, because everybody has different imbalances and the diet would be totally different. But there is a general protocol, of Ayurvedic protocol, how should be a little bit more adapt our diet during menstruation, ovulation, and premenstrual. There is adaptations, yes. Okay. For example, alcohol. If you really wanna have a very good quality of a cycle and hormones, alcohol would be as minimal as possible. But you know that just after you ovulated, the pitta, the first pitta week, not the premenstrual, but the first pitta week, you would have a better digestive fire. So maybe you can be a little bit more complacent with diet, a little bit more yummy food, and a little bit of a little glass of wine in that week. So you would know that. But you know that during menstruation or pre-menstruation, definitely all these foods and alcohol would not do good for you. Okay. Okay. Someone saying that in Portuguese, she's saying she won't understand why she has pain in the ovulation and sometimes feel a bit low in the ovulation as well, when we're supposed to be a little bit with good mood, right? Ovulation, there is a normal pain that has even a name. So it's expected that you have a little sharp pain for a few hours maximum, because that's when the sac of the egg is bursting. So, we have a folliculum, the folliculum grow, then he has to burst. And it's the biggest cell of our body. That's curiosity. An egg is the biggest cell of your body. You actually can see. Yeah. So it's a burst of a cell. So some women sensitive would feel the burst and would feel that little inflammation around. So for some hours, you feel that feeling of inflammation, burning. That's common. That's normal. That's healthy. If that pain goes more than that and go for many days or more than one day, then we have to have a look, okay? Because that might have a cyst, might have something else, a fibroid, something else. We have to have a look with do an image test, and then after come to us to have a look what's happening. But why you feel a little bit upset, that's something we have to work together, understand what ovulation represents for you. There's many ways to look at this. There is the way to look emotionally, because when you're ovulating, you're creating to the world, or you're birthing a new life. Is your creative life, and can be related to a child, but as well your gifts to the world. So how you relate to that? That's something emotional to have a look. What has in the past and traumas. And as well, we have to look, like I said, see cysts and see if there is any fibroids that creating this imbalance in the hormone. And sometimes you have a sensitivity to this peak of estrogen or the start of the progesterone. So you might have some sensitivity, some reaction to that. Might be too high, too low. It's something we have in the course. We go one by one, understanding which one profile, because in a course like this, I can talk answers like that too. Everyone is very unique. But that's something to think about. If my dosha is vata, premenopause. No, I don't think it's premenopause. If my dosha is vata, how can I understand the time when I am the kapha phase, decide food and habits? Okay, that's when it starts to be my complex. Né? When you know a little bit about Ayurveda, you did a quiz or something, you have more one dosha or other dosha in your body. So, for example, I know that my constitution is more vata pitta. Okay, that's my constitution. I'm born in the world with more of that. But that during the life, I can have imbalances, and that imbalances can be any of the doshas. That has nothing to do with the doshas in the menstrual cycle. So I am vata pitta, for example, and then my menstruation is the vata phase. So I already have vata in my body. And most of the time it's vata imbalance. Né? And then the menstruation adds more vata on top. So you know that if you have a constitution that have vata or pitta, or you have imbalances and then rich menstruations, you're definitely going to feel this phase more, because it's one on top of each other, It's excess of vata. So that's alert that you really have to look after this dosha. You really have to balance the vata and be careful with the vata. And the same... And when in the kapha phase, decide for the habits. Okay, even though you are vata type or pitta type, and then in the kapha phase, if you are in balance, you're actually going to look after the kapha phase. You just do the basically offer health for everybody. You don't have to follow a diet of the dosha. This is not Ayurveda, how it's properly done. All the time we're going to look after digestive fire, elimination, sleep, and eat whole meal foods and health foods, and look after our spices and cheese for digestive fire. That's for everybody. But during the kapha phase, and for example, the person that's saying that has pain in the ovulation, might be a struggle for the body to burst that sac. So we need to increase a little bit the movement and a little bit of the spices to help the body to create this movement in the case of the pain of ovulation. But here, if you are a vata person and in the phase of the kapha, it's just a matter of understanding that now you have the help of kapha on top of your vata. What's pretty good because there's a balance. So you're probably not going to suffer imbalances of kapha, but you just enjoy that phase that probably your vata will be balanced because of the ovulation time. It would be more calm and more joyful and more playful. Okay. How does Ayurveda treat endometriosis? Hello, Manuela. Endometriosis. I did a video. No, I haven't done a video about endometriosis. I will do. Endometriosis is a complex disease, is a complex syndrome that has so many aspects. I will actually in the course, there is a whole video, a whole chapter just for endometriosis. There is a lot to talk about it. But pretty much Ayurveda understands that the imbalance, start with an imbalance of the vata energy. So the old texts of Ayurveda, the really original texts of Ayurveda would say that endometriosis or any disease is similar. They wouldn't have endometriosis as a name in that time, but all the symptoms would be because we have not honored the menstruation. Mm-hmm. Because we have not been resting during bleeding days. Because we have keep doing actions in the work, or even they talk even about excessive talking and excessive laughing during bleeding. That's very traditional tests of Ayurveda. That would be one of the explanations that create endometriosis. I can explain that much more in a scientific way, much more detail. There's so much talk. I love that subject, but pretty much here I can just give a little bit. Ayurveda sees imbalance of vata, a vata that the energy should go down and eliminate all that endometrium, but has been disturbed and that energy got a little bit out of control, out of balance, and is coming inwards instead. So instead of shedding the endometrium is coming to other areas of the body, getting out of the uterus, but attaching to organs in the body. And then every time your hormones grow, that tissues, and you bleed, you feel that tissues that could be in any area of your body, they inflame, they swallow, they bleed, and you feel a whole of a hell of a pain, and can have many other symptoms. So Ayurveda first step would be balance vata dosha and have rest. But once the disease is already established, depends of the level. We would support and suggest the surgery, yes, to take it out, the growths that have already been there. And then after that, we reset the routines to balance vata. So there is herbs, there is routines, there is food, there is a whole protocol to help with that. But depends of the level, would need a much one-to-one in body mesmo therapy to help with that. But in the course that I will open enrollments on tomorrow night or Thursday morning, there is a chapter, video material, everything specific for that. Okay, I think that's it. There is any more questions in the Instagram, Chris?
No, I can only see, but I just joined, so I can only see the last one. Maybe you can see them.
Okay, I haven't seen anything coming up here. Can I work out during my period? So yeah, you just saw high libido even before I finish my period. Is that normal? Yes. Is that normal? That might means is a cycle shorter because the first day you start to bleed, your body's doing the run all over again. So he's shedding the endometrium, but that first day there is another folliculum that's already getting ready to grow. So the first day is the time you're bleeding, feeling pain, and your body's already developing a folliculum for the next cycle. That's why I'm saying that what you do during your menstruation affects in your next cycle. Direct, instantaneous, because it's the first day that these follicles choose to start to mature. And that, so the estrogen that was very low just before in the bleeding days already start to grow. So probably your estrogen levels are growing quicker, and then you already feel libido. And then we can talk about that in other levels too. So other levels. So how you relate to your intuition or your spiritual work with sex. So probably there is a relationship there for you, libido and creation in the world. So there is something that we can take this conversation to other levels as well. But I see there's some women that feel like that. The libido start a little bit early. And that's why some women get pregnant when when they're bleeding. They usually would say that having sex when you're bleeding is safe, but not for everybody, because our ovulum just lasts 1 day, but the sperms survive for 5 days. So if you have sex bleeding, and then the sperm is alive there, and then your ovulation went very quick, and instead of ovulating the 14th day, ovulating the 7th day, that's why you can get pregnant when you're menstruating. So that's why the apps itself, they don't work if you're not tracking your temperature as well. Okay, I think that's it. So yeah, we are 1 hour. So that was our idea to finish pretty much. There is any more questions? Any more comments? I think Christine now gonna have a look in the names here from the YouTube or Instagram, and she's gonna choose someone to get a facial mask. I hope. Let's see if everyone is from Australia. So today we're gonna give this facial mask that's actually I created. It's blended artisanally, and we have one for each dosha. So it's the Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. And tomorrow we're gonna do the Dari and maybe a body oil. So if you have any friend that you want to invite for tomorrow, share if you like, sharing the social media and say tomorrow we have the last class. So please help us to share this knowledge, and then you can get maybe one more prize.
Pick a number between 1 and 10.
A number between 1 and 10. 8.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, it's Lida. Lida from Instagram.
Lida from Instagram.
Yeah.
I don't know. Lida Andrade. Lida.
Shall we ask if she's in Australia or if she's in
Brazil? Yeah. Lida Andrade. Yeah. If she check if she's still online. Let's see if she's still online.
Oh yeah, she said, oh yeah. She said yes. She said, oh yeah.
She's in Australia. Awesome. So Lida, just ask her to send me a direct message to choose her mask and to send address.
All right. Great.
Today that's the one, and tomorrow we have a few more. So tomorrow one more mask, the Ayurvedic planner, and if you share in the social media, maybe you still have chance to get a prize. You can choose, okay? So if you share on social media, I choose one more to get. So thank you so much to be here. Thank you, and I hope I see you all tomorrow. And
do you want to talk about a little bit about what you're going to talk about tomorrow?
Tomorrow we talk about 4 more topics, so we understand how the endometrium is formed, and then I talk all about the ancestrality, about pregnancy of your mom. Then we can understand a little bit about endometriosis as well. There's explanation there. We talk about how nutrition and eliminations, liver health influences the cramps and the pains and the imbalances. What else? We talk about, I don't remember everything. The influences of the circadian time, so day and night, and I have some examples here how much that's connected to the health of your cycle. And stress, okay, that's the main one. How much stress can disturb our menstrual cycle, and how I give you very clear examples. So I think that's a little bit of our conversation tomorrow. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much to be here. I hope you all liked, and I hope to see you again. Bye-bye.